Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a significant story that's making headlines globally. The United States has reportedly struck a deal with Iran to deport 120 Iranian nationals as part of President Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration. According to Iranian officials, these individuals will be returning to Iran within the next 1 or 2 days after being flown out via Qatar. Now, it's worth noting that this deal is a rare instance of cooperation between the U.S. and Iran, which do not have formal diplomatic ties. The Iranian Foreign Ministry has confirmed that most of those being deported had entered the U.S. illegally, mainly through Mexico. However, some of them reportedly held valid U.S. residency permits. The New York Times has cited senior Iranian officials as saying that this is just the first phase of a larger deal, which could see up to 400 Iranian nationals deported from the U.S. This move has sparked concerns among human rights groups, who argue that migrants may be sent back to countries where they could face harm or persecution. It's also important to consider the context of Iran's human rights record, which has been criticized by rights groups and UN experts alike. The Iranian government has defended its use of executions, saying it's limited to only the most severe crimes. But human rights groups dispute this. As we continue to follow this story, we'll be keeping a close eye on the developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. It's a complex issue with many different perspectives, and we'll strive to provide you with a balanced and nuanced view of the situation. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're glad you're joining us again for another exciting segment. Today, we're diving into the world of politics, where the UK's Labour Party is facing a unique challenge from the insurgent Reform UK Party, led by Nigel Farage. As we explore this story, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and understand the complexities at play. The Labour Party, under Keir Starmer's leadership, has been actively criticizing Reform UK's policies, particularly on immigration. Starmer has described Reform's migrant policy as racist and immoral, sparking a heated debate about the country's future. Some within the Labour Party believe that directly confronting Farage and Reform UK is the right approach, as it highlights the stark differences between their visions for the country. Tom Lovick from pollsters JL Partners thinks focusing on Reform UK is extremely smart politics, as it forces undecided voters to choose between Starmer and Farage. However, others argue that this strategy might backfire, elevating Reform UK's status and potentially pushing conservative voters towards them. John Denham, a former minister under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, suggests that Labour should focus on telling a convincing story that marginalises Reform UK, rather than relying on the "at least we're not reform" narrative. It's also worth noting that previous party leaders have faced similar dilemmas when dealing with insurgent parties. Ed Davey, the Lib Dem leader, recently made numerous references to Farage in his conference speech, while Simon Lewis, a former director of communications for Gordon Brown, cautions against taking opponents too seriously. As we examine this complex issue, it's crucial to remember that the UK's political landscape is constantly evolving. The next election is still some time away, and voters are likely to weigh various factors before making their decisions. Reform UK, on the other hand, seems to be enjoying the attention, with Gawain Towler, a former press advisor to Farage, saying they absolutely love being name-checked by party leaders. It's clear that this is a high-stakes game, with both sides trying to outmaneuver each other. As we conclude this segment, it's essential to acknowledge the nuances and uncertainties surrounding this story. The UK's political future remains uncertain, and only time will tell how these developments will unfold. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we conclude today's show, I'd like to shift our focus to the devastating natural disasters that have been affecting several countries in Southeast Asia. Typhoon Boaloy has left a trail of destruction in its wake, with the death toll rising to at least 30 across Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines. According to reports from The Guardian World, Vietnamese authorities have confirmed 19 fatalities, with 21 people still missing, making it the most devastating storm to hit the country this year. In Thailand, flooding has been reported in 17 provinces, with Ayutthaya being the worst affected, where 4 people lost their lives. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, the small island province of Biliran was severely hit by Boaloy, resulting in 10 deaths and widespread destruction of infrastructure, including schools, bridges, and homes. The situation is further complicated by the fact that 2 other tropical storms have since made landfall in the country. It's essential to acknowledge that these natural disasters are not isolated incidents, but rather part of a larger pattern. Experts warn that global warming is contributing to stronger and wetter storms, as warmer oceans provide tropical storms with more fuel, leading to more intense winds, heavier rainfall, and shifting precipitation patterns across the region. In another related story, we've been following the updates on Typhoon Boaloy's neighboring storm, Typhoon Imelda, which has caused significant damage in the Bahamas. Although the U.S. is expected to be spared the worst of the storm, authorities are warning residents in South Carolina and North Carolina to prepare for increased precipitation. As we wrap up today's show, I want to emphasize the importance of staying informed about these global events and their impact on our communities. It's crucial that we recognize the interconnectedness of our world and the need for collective action to mitigate the effects of climate change. That's all for today's Barbarous Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.